Punitive damages, you probably all heard about them. They're meant to punish somebody for doing something wrong. In Nevada, they're limited to 3 times your actual damages. The association can't get hit with punitive damages. They've added to this that board members and officers are not liable for punitive damage for any acts or omissions that occur in their official capacity as members of the board. So that's a good law to help board members, keep them from liability for punitive damages. On page 16 at the bottom, yes? The question is, what if they exceed the scope of their duties? Will they be liable? They could be liable for actual damages if they do something that's willful or wanton or gross negligence. For example, if they're willfully violating the law, they could be responsible for actual damages. I don't believe they'd be responsible for punitive damages in that situation. But you could, in rare occasions, be responsible for actual damages. The law provides, previously provided, and still does provide, that a board member who's sued for liability in their actions undertaken as the role of a board member is to be indemnified by the association for any losses or any claims, and to be defended by the association. So the legislature wants board members, for the most part, to be immune from liability for these things and be protected. So we have some real good laws there protecting board members. Now, once you go outside the scope of your duties and start doing crazy things as a board member, you could subject yourself to personal liability. So you have to act in the interest of the association. If you do that, you're going to be safe. Okay, in the middle of page 16, compensation of board members and officers. And this includes managers. Any manager or board member who asks for or receives, directly or indirectly, any compensation, gratuity, reward, or promise upon an agreement or understanding that they're going to vote or provide an opinion or take some action in their capacity as a board member that will influence the action of the association can be guilty of a Category D felony. A Category D felony is punishable by 1 to 3 years in prison. Now, I just talked about board members not being liable for things, and in the next breath I'm telling you you could be liable for a Category D felony. But if you're doing things like this, you're not acting in the best interest of the association. You're going outside of that protection. So basically this means you're not to cut a deal with someone that they're going to get a contract in exchange for giving you a gift or gratuity or something that benefits you. And I think everybody knows that it's wrong to do that. There hasn't been a real law that said this is a felony. And keep in mind that almost all of these laws we see are reactive to something that's happened. The legislature is reacting to something that's happened, someone who's done this, and they're changing the law to try to prevent it from happening again in the future. And this law also applies to the vendor or service provider who provides that gift or gratuity. So they could be on the hook also for a Category D felony. So be very, very careful when you're making decisions for your association that you're not influenced by outside sources, gifts, gratuities, and those can include so many things: dinners, golf, trips, you name it. So be very careful that you don't get involved in that, and always work in the best interest of your association. Okay, next we are on page 18. Yes? The question is, with regard to the change in law on punitive damages, is it still necessary to maintain your errors and omissions insurance for the directors? Absolutely. You want to make sure you keep that insurance in place. That protects you in the event you're sued And the best thing it provides you with a free defense lawyer paid for by your insurance company. Even if you're not liable, they're going to come in and defend you in that case and try to get you out of the lawsuit. So it's very important to maintain that. Yes, sir. Have I had any cases where lack of insurance coverage has become apparent to an association in Nevada? I haven't seen that in Nevada. I have seen some situations in other states, actually where someone sued their management company for getting a policy that didn't insure them properly. So it does happen. As a board, you need to meet with your insurance broker on a regular basis, make sure that you have the proper coverage. That's the expert who you should be going to under the business judgment rule, evaluating your insurance policies and making sure you're covered for any potential problem or loss. Okay, let's go back to page 18. A member of the board who stands to gain any personal profit or compensation of any kind from a matter before the board must disclose the matter to the board and abstain from voting on such matter. And this applies also to a member of the board member's household, a person related to them by blood, adoption, or marriage. So if you're in a situation where your brother-in-law, for example, has a landscape company and they've put in a bid to work for your association, as a board member, you need to disclose and say, hey, I'm related to the guy who owns this company. I'm going to abstain from voting on this matter. You absolutely need to do that. Is it a good idea to have your relatives working for the association? Not at all. I'll tell you a story from about, it was probably 8 or 10 years ago. A condo association, the board president, her husband worked as a maintenance man for the condo association. He would change light bulbs, he'd clean up the pool house. He did an excellent job and he worked for $7 an hour. It saved the association a lot of money. One day I was sitting at a board meeting, I was sitting in the crowd, and I heard people saying, do you know he's making $30 an hour? They said, she's paying him $30 an hour. And the rumors just went rampant. Next thing you know, they're trying to recall this board member. And it wasn't true, but people had that perception that because it was the board member's spouse, he was being overpaid. So it's best to just stay away from that situation where you're not employing relatives, people from your household, your in-laws, and avoid the appearance of impropriety. But if you have to do it, the law provides that you must disclose and you must abstain from voting. Yes, sir. Well, I don't think you should vote at all. It says a member of the board who stands to gain any personal profit or compensation. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. It does say that a member of the board who stands to gain personal profit or compensation cannot vote. Then it goes on to say a member of your household who stands to gain, you have to disclose. It doesn't say you can't vote. You are correct. Should you vote on that? Who thinks you should abstain? You should abstain. That's the smart thing to do. And then if they get hired, that's fine. You abstain. I would never go on record voting to hire a member of my household or a relative. It just looks bad, and the homeowners will turn on you. You might find yourself getting removed from the board for it. Okay, page 19, retaliatory action. A board member or a manager cannot take retaliatory action or encourage another person to take retaliatory action against a homeowner because they've complained in good faith about an alleged violation of the governing documents, or here's the new part, they've recommended the selection or replacement of an attorney, community manager, or vendor. Also, you can't take retaliatory action if they've requested to review